Trade, sign, or draft. The corner position, Jalen Ramsey's out there. So let's go over the details of this and what exactly we're talking about, because cost is a big part of this. Dave Burkett, in his story today in the Free Press, the Lions beat writer, reported that, Jalen Ramsey's available and likely cost you a first-round pick. Let's call it the pick at 18, although Pro Football Focus said 2 2s could get it done. A second-rounder this year and a second-rounder next year to go get Jalen Ramsey, who still close to the top of his game, very good player. And the cost, he'd be costly, but you wouldn't have to account for his bonus. So anyway, Jalen Ramsey is one option. The free agent market, Jamel Dean might be the most expensive, James Bradbury, or you can go a little bit below that and go after maybe a Cameron Sutton from Pittsburgh. So we're talking about a corner that could cost, $15 million, or a quarter that could cost 9 or 10. And then the draft was interesting because Burkett made the note that Daniel Jeremiah implied that this is one of the deepest drafts. NFL Network draft analyst Daniel Jeremiah used to work in front offices. He's got 20 corners graded in rounds 1 through 3. Dave Burkett writes that's an incredibly high number. For comparison, 11 corners went in the top 3 rounds last year. So there's a lot of talent coming out at the corner spot. What makes the most sense? Part of this has to do with whether or not you think the Lions are in win-now mode. Because when you're in win-now mode, you're not trying to develop a player to position of need. You are trying to win. You're trying to get the guy that's going to help immediately. That's not always a rookie. It's not always a rookie. Sometimes it is. Sometimes you get Tariq Woolen. Sometimes you get Sauce Gardner. And sometimes you get, Jeffrey Okudah. Sometimes you get Darius Slay. Even Darius Slay right out of the gate wasn't great. So, what makes the most sense? What would you do if you were in Brad Holmes' shoes? Gator, I'll start with you. Khang, I want to get your 2 cents. I want to hear from the people.
I want to have everything so well defined by draft day because of what you've done in the offseason. When it comes to the cornerback position specifically, it's part of my master plan. I'm signing a free agent corner. I don't have to trade for Jalen Ramsey. I wouldn't mind, but because I know exactly what he is and he's outstanding, but I don't like the idea of giving up draft capital to acquire somebody when I can acquire somebody who might be on the rise at the same position and it doesn't cost me anything other than money. So I'd go the free agent route. And I'm looking at Cameron Sutton. He's 27 years old. In fact, I believe today is his birthday. Yeah, today. He just turned 27 today. Or he's just turned 28 today.
Candlesticks make a nice gift.
Yeah, they do. Very nice gift. So he's 28, just turned 28. He's coming off a career season. His previous high passes defended coming into this past season was 8. He had 15 this year. Previous high in interceptions was 2. He did that in 2021. He had 3 interceptions this year. So career year, great time to have the free agent contract. But I agree with you. I don't think he'd cost you as much as those higher end corners would. Mm-hmm. If you can get him for $10 or $11 million a season, I'd do it in a heartbeat. And it'd still have a ton of money to do the other things I want to do in free agency, which would be addressing the other 2 levels of the defense, defensive tackle and linebacker. And I could get all 3 levels done in free agency. Now I know what I can do with the 2 picks in the first round.
It feels like Brad Holmes isn't I'll give you an example. Jerry Jones is a go-get-the-top guy kind of the way he operates. I don't think that's Brad Holmes.
Don't know.
We don't know, but he hasn't done it here.
There's only 2 opportunities.
But, and it hasn't made sense here, right? You don't do that unless you're close. And I do feel like they should operate in a little bit of win-now mode, which is why, look, we can also say you can make a strong case for doing 2 of these 3 things, right?
Sure.
I don't hate any of the options, but I agree with you. I think Cameron Sutton at that $9-10 million range would make the most sense.
Yeah, and I would couple that. You're doing that, and of course I would go and one of my first 2 first-round picks is likely to be a defensive back.
But now it doesn't have to be.
It doesn't have to be. I could wait till the second round. Like I said, I've got 22 top 3 round graded corners in this draft, and there were only 11 last year or whatever, then that's interesting. So There are a lot of corners to like in this draft. I'd prefer to get one of the top end ones, and I know I could because I have the 6th pick overall. I grab the first one I want.
Khang, what would you do?
Jalen Ramsey. If you're a good football team, that's what good football teams do. They get the biggest position of need, and they fill it with a spot where you don't have to worry about it, where you have a known commodity. We talk about it all the time. That doesn't mean we don't draft a cornerback at some point, maybe with your 6th overall pick, maybe your 18th overall pick, maybe with one of your second rounders, right? But whoever you draft at cornerback this year, I'm sorry, you cannot expect Sauce Gardner. They're going to struggle. The rookie cornerback in this league against those receivers with these rules, it's a hard adjustment, and it's going to take most guys a couple years to adjust. They might not even start, right? Jalen Ramsey is only 28 years old. He's not as good as he used to be, but he's still damn good. And he is a type of player and a veteran that, for a team, like I said, if you're a good team, that's the move you make. And for those that are wondering, well, I don't want to give up a bunch of draft capital. I don't think the draft capital is as steep as we think it is. I think if anything you might be worried about is reworking a deal, because there's rumors that he might want a new extension, but he already makes like $18 million per year with his remaining deal left from the Rams. But even so, I'd be willing to possibly rework a deal. When the Lions traded away Darius Slay, he was 28 years old. 2 Pro Bowls later, he's one of still the best cornerbacks in the league. Jalen Ramsey's best days are not done. He's a very good quarterback who knows how to win, who's won a Super Bowl. I don't think his personality would be an issue with this team, with Dan Campbell and the other players that have already bought in. To me, Jalen Ramsey's the move. That would be such an important move, would help other guys as well. Now, it's a trade, but you would show guys like Bobby Wagner and other free agents, hey, they're building something over there. They want to win now. I think that's the move. The process has been expedited because of how good the Lions finished last year.
248-539-9797. Phone calls, feedback. Like I said, I don't hate any of these moves. I think they all could make sense. Free agent trade, or, where it doesn't make sense is if you reach. Like Cameron Sutton's market value, according to Spot Track, is 3 years, $22 million. I think that's totally acceptable and fine. But if they, give him 4 years at $15 million, that upsets me. If they give up 6 for Jalen Ramsey, that upsets me.
Here's the part that scares me a little.
The pick at number 6. Sorry, maybe I want to be clear.
One of the things that has me apprehensive about Jalen Ramsey, I like him a lot, and I'd absolutely consider trading for him. But what has me hesitating, there's an article from CBS Sports that came out over the weekend about possible landing spots, and it mentioned the Lions as a possible landing spot for Ramsey. In it, he said opposing quarterbacks targeting Ramsey completed 62.9% of their passes and had a 74.5 passer rating off Ramsey in 2022. So pretty good numbers for Ramsey, but they're not good when you compare him to the rest of his career. It says Ramsey allowed 7 touchdown passes, which was more than he allowed in the last 2 seasons combined. The 712 receiving yards were the most in a season Ramsey has allowed since 749 with Jacksonville back in 2018. He's allowed 20 pass touchdowns and had 19 interceptions in 7 seasons. Opposing quarterbacks had a career passing rating of 58.2 targeting him. But this past season, that jumped up to 74.5. That's all I'm saying is it's a bad season he just had, and it's still a pretty good season for him. Is this starting that turn where he's not going to be as effective year in and year out?
I think it actually is, and yet I still think he could help him.
I agree.
Makes sense, right?
No, I know that's the thing. So that's why I'm wondering. You're weighing in how steep of a price are you willing to pay to get him?